It always starts the same way with the wind. Rushing past the frame, climbing softly over hills, or screaming through canyon walls. Then comes the silence. And somewhere in the background, lone figure, standing, waiting, measured, calm. Then, running, leaping, falling and, for a heart-splitting second. You forget it's a movie. You forget he's an actor. Because Tom Cruise never made us believe in characters. He made us believe in moments. And somewhere buried deep in one of those moments, the line between fear and fame nearly disappeared forever. This is the story of a single stunt. One decision, one fall, and the near-death moment that could have changed everything on the set. Of Mission Impossible, and it's not just about broken bones or helicopters or cables. It's about silence, pain, and the never-talked-about cost of how far someone will go to make us feel alive. Tom Cruise has jumped from towers, flown jets, held onto cargo planes mid-takeoff, and clung to motorcycles with nothing but skin, wire, and willpower. He's turned danger into an art form, wrapped it in box office gold, and left audiences breathless for decades. But there was one moment, carefully buried until recently, that wasn't part of the script. A moment where everything they planned went wrong and Tom nearly didn't walk away. It happened while filming one of the most jaw-dropping set pieces in Mission Impossible Fallout: The Rooftop Chase over London. The kind where characters leap from building to building like gods defying gravity. Except this time, the god wasn't acting. Because the pain was real, and for a split second, the world slowed down enough for a man to wonder if this was the last stunt he'd ever do. Years later, sitting quietly in a dimly lit interview chair, no sunglasses, no smirk, no crowd to perform for, Tom Cruise finally told the full story. Not as a movie star, but as a man who nearly lost part of himself for a single frame of film. I knew it the second I hit the wall, he said softly. The scene was straightforward on paper. Tom, as Ethan Hunt sprints full speed across a rooftop ahead of his enemies, reaches the edge and leaps to the adjacent building, catching the ledge just in time to pull himself up and escape. They rehearsed it carefully. The gap was measured, the safety crews in place. But something invisible crept into that moment. A sudden gust of headwind. A fraction too early or too late. And when he leapt, he didn't reach the mark. Instead, he slammed full force into the side of the building, not the safe kind of slam. It's a kind you feel in your chest even when watching from your couch. It's a kind of impact that silences a set, and even worse. He kept going. Footage from that day shows the moment in brutal clarity. After hitting the wall, Tom pulls himself up, limps forward, and finishes the shot. One leg dragging, pain clearly etched into his face. But he never breaks character. The camera keeps rolling as he disappears out of frame. No one yells, "Cut." No one moves. "We thought he was acting," one crew member whispered in an interview. Turns out he wasn't. Tom had shattered his ankle, not sprained, not bruised. Shattered, and yet he stayed in character. Limped across frame and completed the take. Because in his mind, if he could just buy the editors another second of usable footage, maybe the pain would be worth it. You might wonder why. Not stop? Why risk so much for a shot? But with Tom, the question has always been backward. Why stop? When you can prove something to yourself no one else expects. It's the same reason he flies his own helicopters, climbs his own cliffs, and runs until his lungs burn holes through his ribs. It's not just about realism. It's about legacy. It's about fascination. About becoming more than an actor and shifting into myth. But what happens when the myth bleeds? When the legend limps. And when the man behind it is left silent, sitting on the edge of a trailer lot, staring down at a foot that no longer feels like part of his body. That day, production shut down. The crew watched as Tom was quietly taken away, not with drama. Not with security swarming, but with a strange, solemn kind of reverence. There's something chilling about witnessing a real-life superhero breaking right in front of you. He wasn't just acting anymore. He was human, fragile, mortal. They told him recovery would take months. They expected surgery, rehabilitation, special effects to mask the damage. But Tom had a different idea. He wanted to finish the film quickly. Just 6 weeks later, Denst. Doctor recommendations against studio pressure. Tom was back on set, still limping, still in pain. But back because there was a scene left unfinished, a story still suspended, an audience still waiting to feel the adrenaline. And for Tom Cruise, that audience has always mattered just a bit more than his own safety. He once told a producer, "If the audience knows I'm really doing it, even just for a second, they'll believe in anything." Belief. He was chasing belief. But belief is a dangerous thing to give too much of. If a man is told he's a legend long enough, he starts to believe he's untouchable. And that illusion can haunt you, especially when you realize your body carries every scar, even if your name doesn't. Tom Cruise is 61 now. He doesn't flinch. But he feels it. More than he lets on. He still runs like time is chasing him. Still flies like he's outpacing regret. But after that rooftop fall, something changed behind his eyes. Maybe it was fear. Maybe humility. Or maybe just a quiet realization that even the biggest legends don't get to defy gravity forever. There's a scene just a few minutes into the Toxic Avenger reboot that perfectly captures everything the film sets out to be. The camera sits tightly on Peter Dinklage, crouched in the shadows, bleeding, humiliated, and still very much human. Around him, chaos is building. This isn't a transformation born in glory. It's one forged in pain. And when the mutation finally takes hold, it's not pretty. It's not noble. It's ugly, uncomfortable, but it's real. And that's the point. This isn't Marvel. This isn't a Studio Notes kind of movie. It's raw, it's weird, and sometimes it's hard to watch. But that's what makes you look harder. Because buried under the violence, the oddball humor, the grotesque body horror, there is soul. Not every film dares to bring that back. But the Toxic Avenger does. Peter Dinklage knew exactly what he was stepping into. This wasn't Tyrion. This wasn't prestige television. This was an anti-role. The type that critics love to misunderstand and fans don't always know they need. And when asked why he took it, his answer spoke volumes. Because it terrifies me. Dinklage read the entire script and didn't immediately say yes. He debated it, questioned the tone, wondered if today's audience could still embrace a story that was both brutal and deeply moral. But he found something in the core of the character, something grounded and tragic. Melvin, like many of us, grows tired of never being seen. And when he's finally transformed, he still isn't. People only look long enough to run away because we're trained to fear what isn't beautiful. But Melvin is beautiful. Because he doesn't hurt people to hurt them. He hurts the ones who hurt everyone else. In that way, the film becomes more than a reboot. It becomes a mirror in a world full of reboots, sequels, and recycled nostalgia. The Toxic Avenger could have easily been another forgettable remake. A cash grab. A mockery of what made trauma special in the first place. But it isn't. It's something nobody expected. Alive. Dirty. Bleeding with intent. And pulsing with the kind of chaotic energy that Hollywood has spent the last 15 years shaving off its edges. This is why fans are desperate for the digital release, not for convenience. Not just to finally see it because they missed it in theaters, but because this film is the kind of experience that demands a second life even stronger than the first. Digital and streaming releases used to be where movies went to fade away. Now, it's where some of them are finally seen. People want to pause the makeup work, talk about that alley scene, replay the final showdown, Dissect Dinklage's expression when Melvin realizes he may never look human again and whether that makes him more powerful or more alone. They want to connect, and connection isn't easy. When you're a cult film that refuses to be quiet, that's partly why the producers waited this long to announce the digital release. The buzz had to build organically. Screenings at Fantastic Fest turned into online noise. Then came the social media reactions, then the memes. Slowly, without a million-dollar ad, Run the Toxic Avenger reclaimed a place in pop culture simply. By refusing to blend in, it reminds us that not every story has to be clean or safe or PG-13'd into oblivion. Some stories and some heroes are gross, uncomfortable, wild, and that's what makes them real. As for when you can watch it, here's everything we know. The official word is that The Toxic Avenger will hit premium digital platforms in early 2024. That includes Amazon Prime Video, Apple TV, Vudu, and likely places like Google Play or YouTube Movies. The price will hover around standard new-release rates, roughly $19.99 to rent or $24.99 to own at release. Expect that window to run for a few weeks before the streaming deal locks in. While a streaming home hasn't been officially confirmed, all signs point to Legendary's alignment with either HBO Max, now just Max, or Peacock, both of which have housed their recent releases. And if tracking buzz and demand means anything, Max seems the likeliest landing pad, especially given the film's edgier tone. So whether you're buying it on day one or waiting to stream it once it lands, rest assured 2024 is where Melvin comes home, back to your screen, back to the people, and this time, he's not going anywhere. What The Toxic Avenger teaches us in every runtime is something bigger than simple shock comedy or nostalgic gore. It reminds us that power doesn't always wear a cape, that justice doesn't always come dressed in the flag of a nation or a billion-dollar franchise. Sometimes, it comes wrapped in green sludge and scars, still stands taller than all of them. If you've ever felt like an outsider, if you've ever been pushed around, laughed at, or overlooked, then this digital release isn't just another movie night. It's your night. So when Melvin returns to the screen torn, trembling, twice as misunderstood as before it, that he doesn't need an origin story or a cinematic universe to matter. He represents a kind of hero we rarely see anymore. Not because he's perfect, but because he isn't. And that might make him the most important hero of all.